What's up guys, FNL47 here, welcome to Watching for the Plot. Subscribe for more content coming your way. I decided to slow down my pace. I've watched one Omni video and now here's my voice for the rest of my life. Today we're watching a show called Ningyou No Yakata, which is essentially, I think, something around like First Dollhouse, and that's the name of the show, and 2-episode series made in 2003. Now this one, very short. However, it's very impactful towards the end because it's all about build up, baby. It just keeps building up and building up. We keep finding mysterious items over here. We go look over there. There's another mystery link to that one attached over there. It's a lot going on here. So we have our main character, Takashi, getting confronted, no 6ix9ine. Are you dumb? Getting confronted by one of the maid on the grounds that they're keeping named Maria. Now the grounds they're keeping is off this wealthy family called the Kusagara family. And Takashi was slacking off, he's taking a rest because this was like his first day there at the job, and they had him doing like 20 tasks at once, doing like a regular job where they don't give you any off time whatsoever because there's always something to do, because they only employ one person to do 30 tasks at once. Therefore they're getting the most out of one person they possibly can without necessarily compensating them accordingly. Anyway, that's a different entire discussion. So where did that rant come from? Once he wakes up, gets to and starts going on working, we get introduced to a couple other characters. We get introduced to Nanami, which is his love interest, to say the least, in this series. We get introduced to Juri, which is one of the tutors of the grounds of the daughters, and we get introduced to Shion, one of the newer maids in this series itself. And we find out that Takashi was getting a stern talking to when he gets confronted by Sayaka. Now Sayaka is one of the headmasters in charge of all of the groundskeeping employees, you know, like the janitors, the lawnmower people, the maids, the butlers themselves. I mean, more like a prison labor slave running aspect. Like imagine the Resident Evil dummy mommy type shit, except she's your boss and she's whipping you with an actual whip. That's what their relationship is going on there. And at this point, you know, Takashi's knew that he's talking back. He tries to stand up when he sees abuse going on. Like for example, he sees Sayaka abuse Nanami and Shion, the new employees there, new maids, and he's like, boss, she's beating up people. And the boss like, well, man, listen, hey man, they do what they want. You know what I'm talking about? You know, he's enraged at this. He's seething with rage. Now, before he gets to that point, he stumbles across Juri, the tutor of the daughter, just walking around. Now, why is she walking around in this mysterious place that's like basically the landskeeper's storage closet? Well, come to find out that she's been looking for the secret dollhouse that enables one to telepathically control someone and manipulate them in an alternate universe and deal with no consequences whatsoever. And the only consequences that they do have to deal with is the person they're trying to do the actions to only felt that through a dream, so therefore they can't even talk about it, because if they did talk about the actions they got dealt to them, it would be insane because it didn't happen. Now, when Takashi stumbles upon that, he's like, what the fuck is this? There's no way this shit's real. So instead of walking away, he just goes head in and just puts his hand in there. Now this is before he knew about what the dolls can do. Puts his hand in there, he starts like having sex with Nanami, one of the red hair maids I was mentioning earlier. It's his essential love interest. And when he wakes up, comes to, Nanami comes in, does his laundry and leaves. And he's like, wait, did that really happen? I still feel her sensation around my tentillations. What the fuck happened? To confirm it being a thing again, obviously, he goes to visit the dollhouse yet again. However, he has prior knowledge this time. So instead of going there, you know, just empty head, he instead is just trying to gather as much information as he possibly can. And he stumbles across this group of fellow employees in the gray tracksuits like him. And apparently, Sayaka isn't only whipping him, she's whipping the entire staff, as I mentioned before. So she must be the daughter or the heir to the matriarch of this establishment, essentially the Katsuguri establishment. They're all like, yeah, I can't wait to find her in an alleyway so I can, you know what I mean? They're just trying to envision and imagine ways to cope with the fact that she's beating them relentlessly for their job. Now, Takashi hears this, and combined with the abuse he saw from Nanami and Shion, the new maids that Sayaka was whipping into shape, no pun intended. No, fuck it. Pun intended there. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to take revenge for those people, and I'm going to defend their honor by for another woman instead. So he goes at it, and this time, since he knows he's going in there full intent, the resistance that he would have originally from transferring to the alternate dimension, being unable to control his body, more course of action. He's going with it. He's going with the action. He's going with the fact that like it's a simulation. So essentially what happens is that when he goes to this alternate dimension, it's a simulation, predisposed, pre-written, pre-scripted, all actions are made for him. Pretty much if you're playing like a gacha game, you have autoplay, it's like that. There would be brief moments where he would pause autoplay and be like, no, this is wrong. But when it came to Sayaka, because he wants revenge for the maids that he saw were getting wrongfully done in, he instead goes with it, and it kind of consumes him at this point. Now, he goes at it again. Why would he go with the dollhouse again? After going through this dollhouse twice and being unable to control any actions going on here, well, the reason why he went in there for a third time was because, get this, second episode, the new maid, Shion, is very wary of him, very suspicious, because she knows something's off about him. No one else does. No one else thinks anything's out of the ordinary. When Takashi confronts her, she's like, hey bro, you should leave. You're all for this job. Good riddance. He's mad, full of impotent rage because, you know, he isn't having sex. He's having virtual fake sex. He's basically having a wet dream, an interactive wet dream, essentially. He has revenge sex with Shion in the dollhouse. This is the third time he went. This is the third time he went. The jury's still walking around curious while he's at the dollhouse, and she bumps into him. Like, what the fuck happened? You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, goodbye. You know, because, you know, he doesn't want to get caught off guard. Takashi has to get back on work because he's been using his break time. Instead of taking a break, eating lunch, he went to have virtual reality sex. So when he left, he dropped down Shion's doll because the dollhouse basically has everyone in this house that are only women, apparently, which is interesting to say the least. When he dropped the doll, jury remembered, oh yeah, fuck, I was supposed to look for something. So she went up to the attic and got kidnapped. Now, who did she get kidnapped by? Great question. There's one person who could have been a possible suspect on the grounds. Well, I haven't told you yet. You want to know why I haven't told you this person yet? Because the moment I brought him up, he would be instantly suspicious. So this is a guy named Mr. Gouda, and he's dropping off a new maid, Shion, the new employee here. However, he's taking Nanami and replacements, trading them one for the other. Now, why the fuck would you trade maids like that if you're both wealthy, rich people? How come you just can't get a different maid? Like, you can afford a different way. Why would you trade another one? This is why. Okay. Gouda wanted Nanami for himself because he has a fetish for redheads apparently, but also because he wanted to sacrifice her for a ritual. Now, what's the ritual? See, we're getting along. Great questions here. Great rapport. I'm glad you're asking all these questions. Really appreciate it. I mean, really appreciate it. You're doing good right now. The ritual's for this, right? The ritual is to activate another person in a doll. Basically, Mr. Gouda fell under the curse of the dollhouse, thus allowing him to telepathically control people through it. So the only reason why there are only women in the dollhouse is because he made it so, right? And being granted with such superpowers, he's able to enact and enable and get these women into his own dollhouse and make them his own slaves and act accordingly by a fire ritual and just basically just him over fire. And Takashi's reaction to all this is to try and stop them. And when he does, he's fighting back, you know, this back and third, he's getting his ass beat because, you know, if he's in control of an alternate reality portal shifting, dimension bending dollhouse, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. So Takashi gets whipped the fuck out. You know, he's on the floor bleeding, like, please stop. And while his loving crush is getting excavated right in front of him, Shion comes out of nowhere, grabs Mr. Gouda, throws him in the fire, burns him alive, and that should be the end, right? That should be the end. That should be the end of the entire doll story of cursed bullshit. No, it's not. He comes to burning to a crisp, and he's like, he's trying to get them. He's trying to kill them for revenge because he's burning. He's in agonies and pain. And instead of trying to get them, he ended up tripping and falling in the bowl of fire, and burning the entire mansion down. They escape. Of course, they all escape. Jury, Nanami, Shion, and Takashi. They all escape. They're perfectly fine. Now, the question is, what the fuck just happened? Well, Shion breaks down the entire exposition at the end of the story. Basically, what she's saying is the dollhouse has so much power, and the person who's attached to it, i.e. who got it handed down to him, had so much weight behind it, was because the doll maker was commissioned by a rich family. And this rich family's like, yo, this shit's so cool, bro. Let me get some more of that. And they started collecting a bunch of dolls. And then the rich family was like, you know what? I heard you were making dolls for other people, so I'm gonna fucking burn your house down and kill your daughter.
人形職人は最愛の娘も焼け死にました。その時から人形の呪いは始まったのです。
The dollhouse gets passed down from wealthy family with no relation whatsoever. Only ties of relations they ever had with one another is the wealthiness themselves. So therefore, they get handed down a curse randomly from like some package. I don't know how it gets to each random person's house, but yeah. And the last person's house I went to was Katsuguri. I say last person because our boy here, Gouda, who was, I guess, the last person to have the house but gave it to the Katsuguris instead, he burned the whole thing down. So therefore, the curse is gone and Shion has gone with it. Why is Shion gone with it? She's basically interdimensional dollhouse security. And since the dollhouse is gone, she no longer has ties with this world, no longer exists. Ping ping boof, she's gone.
message. Goodbye.
At this point, I have more questions, right? If Shion could literally just mod the whole shit and kill Gouda instantly by grabbing him like a little doll and just burning him to a crisp, how come when she was getting fucked by Takashi, revenge fucked, she didn't stop anything? Because she mentions here that she let him, and she also let him go at every single girl who was in a dollhouse because she felt like it. The only rebuttal she had to that was that she turned the power down so it wouldn't make him go insane. Instead, it made him get brain. The ending didn't make anything more clear, it made everything more convoluted, made everything more confusing. That was Ningyou No Yakata. I would say, I don't know. This was tricky, right? Because like to say check it out is a bit weird for this one, mainly because it's not like a fire show. It's just run of the mill. It's just same old average everyday show. It's a little bit different, it involves maids and butlers and whips and chains and nefarious love that doesn't really exist because it only happened in dreams, that type of shit. But like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know how to feel about this. I just give it like a plain 5 out of 10. Just average wheat bread on rye. All right, guys, I'll have an outro, but if I did, it wouldn't matter because I'm making fun of the video. Good night. I'm gonna keep it $1.50, Chief. I don't even know what the fuck I just watched. Even explaining it makes no sense. Like, I will go back and edit this and it'll make literally no sense. What the fuck did I just watch? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the